Hi guys, welcome to 3rd grade worksheet lesson number 1. And to start off, we're going to be using subtraction to find the missing added. And looking at our first question right here, we have 6 plus blank equals 13. And basically, we're trying to find out what plus 6 equals 13. And to help us figure that out, we can just figure out what 13 minus 6 is. So we know that 13 minus 6 is equal to 7. And that means that 6 plus 7 equals 13. So we can plug in 7 right here as our answer. For number 2, we have 8 plus blank equals 20. And to figure out what goes in the blank, we can do the same way we did the first problem, which means we can do 20 minus 8. And we know that 20 minus 8, since 0 can't be subtracted by 8, we're going to borrow 1 from this 2, turns this into 1, and turns this 0 into a 10. And this makes it so 10 minus 8 is equal to 2, and we can bring this 1 down to make it 12. And so for number 2, our answer is 12. For number 3, we have 5 plus blank equals 27. And just like the first two, we're going to use the same method as we used for them and just do 27 subtracted by 5. And we can just do 7 minus 5 equals 2, and just bring down this 2 in the tens place to get 22 as our answer for number 3. And lastly, one more example. For number 4, we have 3 plus blank equals 11. And just like the same others, we can just do the same thing we did for them, which is subtracting it by the number that is shown. And 11 minus 3 equals 8. And so we got 3 plus 8 equals 11. Moving on to our next page, we're going to be using subtraction to find the difference. And so for number 1, our first problem is 70 minus 34. And since we know that 0 doesn't work, can't be minus by 4 because it's less than 4, we're going to borrow 1 from the tens place, or from the 7, which turns it into a 6. And this 0 becomes a 10. And so now we can subtract it, which is 10 minus 4 equals 6. And then 6 minus 3 equals 3. So for number 1, our answer is 36. For number 2, we're going to do the same thing. And since it's 46 minus 17, we can see that 6 is less than 7, meaning that we're going to have to borrow from the 4 again, as it's bigger than 1. So this 4, since we borrow 1, it becomes a 3. And this 6 becomes 16. And 16 minus 7 equals 9. And then 3 minus 1 equals 2. So for number 2, our answer is 29. Moving over to this side, here we have 37 minus 12. And for this problem, it seems that both numbers on top are bigger than numbers on the bottom, so we don't need to do any borrowing. So 7 minus 2 equals 5, and 3 minus 1 equals 2. So our answer for number 5 is 25. For number 6, here we see that we can do the same thing, as 5 and 6 are bigger than 3 and 2, meaning we can just simply subtract them. And so we can do 6 minus 2, which equals 4, and 5 minus 3, which equals 2. And our answer is 24. Moving on to our third page, here we have write the value of the bolded digit. And so for number 1, we have 9, 6, and the 9 is bolded. Since we're writing the value of the bolded digit, we have to write how much this 9 means. And since there are 2 digits, the 6 is simply only just 6, and 9 meaning that there's 9 tens, so our value for this 9 is 90. For number 2, we have 237, and if we were to break this number up, we know that 7 is in the ones place, and 2 is in the hundreds place. So we have 200 plus blank plus 7. And since we're trying to get it so it equals 237, we know that in our tens place, this 3 means it is equal to 30. So for number 2, our answer is 30. Moving over this side, number 6, we have 2,483. And this 4 is bolded, meaning, so we have to try to find out how much it means. And since we can break this number apart first, we know that 3 is in the ones place, the 8 is in the tens place, and the 2 is in the thousands place. So breaking it all up, we have 2,000 plus blank plus 80 plus 3. And since we know that 4 is in the hundreds place, that means this 4 has to be equal to 400. And so our answer for number 6 is 400. And for our last example of this page, we have 383. And since the 3 is bolded, we're trying to find its value. And we know that the 3 right here is equal to just 3. The 8 right here is in the tens place, meaning that it's 80. And so finally we have this 3, which is the hundreds place. And this 3 translates to 300. So its value is 300. Moving on to our word problems. For number 1, we have Susie sells cups of lemonade. At the start of the day, she had 60 cups of lemonade. She has sold 20 separate cups of lemonade to her friends and 20 separate cups to her church. How many cups does Susie have left? So, using our information, we know that she started her day off with 60 cups of lemonade, and she sold 20 separate cups to her friends, and she sold 12 separate cups to her church. And so, to find our answer, we can do 60 minus 20 minus 12. And to make this easier for ourselves, we can just do 60 minus 20 first, which is 40, which is just 6 minus 2. Added 0, we have 40. And then we can make it so it's 40 minus 12. And for 40 minus 12, we know that 0 is less than 2, meaning we can't subtract it yet. So we have to borrow 1 from this 4 on this side, turning it into 3, and this 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 2 equals 8. 3 minus 1 equals 2. So for our answer, she has 28 cups of lemonade left. For number 2, Freddie reads 35 pages in 7 days. On average, how many pages did Freddie read each day? Be sure to show your work. Alright, so to show our work, we're going to write down what we know. So since Freddie reads 35 pages in 7 days, we know that he reads 35 pages in total, and he reads them throughout an average of 7 days, meaning we have to find out how many pages he read per day. And to find this out, we're going to do 35 divided by 7. And to get our answer for this, we can break up this 35 7 times. And what number goes into 35 7 times? 5. As we have 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, we can add these all up and show it out. We can do 7 plus 7 plus 7, which is 21. 7 plus 7 is 14. And we get 21 plus 14 equals 35. Meaning that 7 goes into 35 5 times. And that means that he read 5 pages per day. And for our last problem, the local food bank has 24 food cans that it needed to separate into 6 boxes. How many cans were put into each box without having any cans left over? Be sure to show your work again. And to show our work, we're just going to put out what we know. So since we know that the local food bank had 24 food cans, and they need to be separated into 6 different boxes, we can do the same thing we did for number 2, as since they need to be separated into 6 different boxes, we can do 24 divided by 6. And to get our answer, we need to find out what goes into 24 6 times. So we can just do 6 plus 6 equals 12, which is not enough. Then we can add 6 again, which gets us 18, and which is still not enough. And then we can do 18 plus 6, which then gets us 24. And we know that it needed it 4 times, so that means 6 goes into 24 4 times. And that means our final answer, our 24 cans can go into each box without having any left over.